Hello, friends. This is Alejandro with Inside Talks. I'm here with a new friend that I just met. His name is Jesse. Today we're interviewing him because he has a really interesting idea. It's called the Mobile Podcast Trailer. So let's get into it.
Hey. Stories, ideas, perspective, inside talks, one conversation at a time.
Well, first, thanks to you for giving me the opportunity because basically this is his trailer. He right away said, hey, we can do it in my trailer. Totally fine. And he drove from Phoenix to Chandler. So I appreciate you for, being here with me today. It's been super interesting because like you said, I did a call to action because I'm not from here. I'm from Puerto Rico. I've been living here 9 years and I'm looking for interviews for my channel, which is called The Insightful Presence. But I couldn't find people because I don't know a lot of people here. So my thought was like, then let me go to TikTok, see what happens. I created the video and it's still going. I'm still getting messages like today, but later we can talk about that. And nothing, Jesse was one of the persons that he reached out. He's like, I'm down. Let's do it. We connected through phone. He was a really cool guy. I think we connected a lot because we have kind of like the same age. We have kids, we have a family, we have good jobs, and we love making videos. I think we connected through that. But now, Jesse, my question for you, I want to know a little bit about yourself. Mm-hmm. Can you tell me a little bit about your background? How did you start in interior photography and videography?
So I'll take it back even further.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was 5 years old,
Mm-hmm.
my grandfather was a professional photographer in Indianapolis.
Nice.
And he shot the Indy 500. He had his own portrait studio with a friend down in kind of do you know Mill Avenue?
Yep.
Here in Phoenix, kind of like the Mill Avenue of Indianapolis called Broad Ripple. And they had their own studio. And so this is like the height of the 80s where, portrait photography was something that you would want to do. Like families would go in and get individual portraits and stuff like that. Well, every year that I went to visit my grandparents, I would get a new camera.
Okay.
My grandfather died when I was 12, and
So sorry to hear that.
It happens. None of us make it out alive. But I inherited a lot of his cameras after he passed. And so my Nana, she didn't want the cameras, taking up space, and I took them home with me, and they kind of sat dormant for a lot of years. And then it was right around the time that my wife and I started having kids, my wife came to me and was like, hey, would you start a photography company with me? She had just hung out with some friends. They're a husband and wife duo shooting weddings. And I said, yeah, I know how to take pictures. I studied a little bit of photography in college. I took Photoshop classes, and so I knew a little bit.
Okay.
I didn't know everything,
Okay.
but I knew enough that I was like, yeah, we could do it. And my wife and I were musicians and creatives, and my wife's a drummer. I'm a bass player, and so it was just kind of easy to fall into another creative role. And I always thought that I would grow up to work in the church, and that never really panned out well enough. I never got full-time work from the church. It was always kind of like part-time.
Okay.
And so when nothing of that panned out, I was like, yeah, let's start, this company. And so we started doing newborn photography, lifestyle photography, family photos, mini sessions, all of these things. And eventually my wife was like, I don't want to take pictures of other people anymore. I just want to take pictures of our kids. And so we had bought a Canon 5D Mark II.
I remember.
And, we spent thousands of dollars on it that we probably shouldn't have, but we needed a good camera. And so I was like, I've got all this equipment. Just like, what do I do with it?
Mm-hmm.
And, I like real estate. I like houses. I like architecture. And so, when she told me that she didn't want to do it anymore, I was like, well, what are we going to do with these cameras? All this equipment. And So it turns out that my wife's best friend was starting to flip houses
Okay.
in Paradise Valley with
Okay.
her boyfriend at the time. They're now married. And she posted that she spent $1,000 on 10 photos to sell this house. And I was like, $1,000 for 10 photos? What the heck? No way. And I was blown away by that. And I said, hey, I know that you probably need more photos, and it sounds like you need a photographer to come and do it. I don't know what I'm doing, but I've studied some technique. I think I could do it. Do you want me to come over and I'll do it for free? And she was like, absolutely.
Nice.
Come over, do it for free. And so I went over, I did bracketed shots the whole time. So overexposed, underexposed,
HDR.
neutral, HDR blend. And that's what started it all. I delivered the photos back to them and they loved it. Her boyfriend looked at me. He actually requested a meeting and was like, okay, I know he handed me $200 when I was there and I was stoked. I goes, through the moon, I got $200. And he said, how about we do a deal? Because those photos, allowed us to sell the house sight unseen. So here's what I want to do. And he was like, I'll pay you a flat rate for every house, but if it sells inside of 30 days, I'll give you a bonus.
Mm-hmm.
And if it sells in 60 days, I'll still give you a bonus. It just won't be as high.
Less. Mm-hmm.
And then if it sells in 90, then no bonus at all.
Okay.
And I was like, sold. It's it was 2015 ish. And, it was the height of, the real estate, not the height, but the real estate market was climbing. $1 million homes were continuously selling, and it was relatively easy money.
Okay.
Like I could shoot a house, edit it, and get it back to them in a weekend, and it would be fine. And so all of a sudden I was, kind of thrown into this world of, taking real estate photos. And then at the same time, a friend of mine, called me and said, hey, does your, camera do video? And I was like, I don't know.
Let me check.
But let me see if it does. And so I looked it up on YouTube, figured out that the camera does video. And I called him back and said, yeah, sure. Yeah, it does. He goes, what do you want? What do you want? And he's like, my church wants to hire you to do all of our video announcements.
Nice.
And so we have a green screen that we want to do. And so do you know how to key out anything? And I was, no, but I can figure it out. And, so he said, well, my church will buy you a computer and pay you $600 a month to, do all of our video announcements. You'll come out to the church once a month, because it was all the way out in East Mesa.
Mm-hmm.
We were living in Central Phoenix, and we'll do all of the announcements for the month. And then you edit and deliver back the announcements to us, and we'll move through, for the foreseeable future.
Okay. And that's on top of doing the photos and real estate photos. Okay.
And also at that time I was working at GoDaddy.
Oh, okay.
So on top of a full-time job, on top of photos and then also the video work. So I was, finally doing creative work. All I ever wanted to do was be creative.
Awesome.
And honestly, now I look at it and go, I didn't want to only be creative. I really just wanted to run a company that could allow me to be creative.
Okay.
So that's why Mobile Podcast Trailer exists, is because this is just a tool to foster conversations. The intent is for business owners to rent it from me, obviously with an audio-visual person operating, but the intent is for us to be able to, rent it out to people.
Give that space to creators.
And they can create their podcast and then we full service it and deliver it back. But I just kept on thinking that the only way that I was ever going to be able to be creative was, through a church setting. And that wasn't the case.
And life surprised you.
And then, right around the same time that all of that started to unpack, my friend contacted me. He had started this barnwood company, and he was like, "Hey, I have a video idea for a series, and I want to do this many videos.
Okay.
Would you want to do this as like a side project?" And I was like, "Man, my life is a side project."
Mm-hmm.
So I said, "Yeah, let's figure it out." So we drew up a contract, and I started doing these videos. And so when I was working at GoDaddy, I had so much time off, a lot, given to me, that I took off every Tuesday. And what happened is I started doing these videos, and I'd go and film on location.
Mm-hmm,
and then after a while, every Tuesday we would release a video on YouTube and then film a new video. And so, my friend, after a couple months, texted me and was like, "I want you full time.
Okay.
I need you to take pictures of all of our projects, run all of our video and social media." Nice. And I said, "Okay, just make it where my wife can still be home with the kids."
Okay.
We homeschool. And so I need to be able to give her that ability. So can we work that out? And he was like, "Absolutely." Because his wife was stay home as well. And she homeschooled her kids, or their kids rather. And so we were in agreement with that. And so I signed up to go do that with him. So I left GoDaddy, and shortly after that happened, the church gig left. The church was absorbed by another church, and so they had a creative team, and so they didn't need me anymore.
Okay.
So around that time, I was able to afford a computer, so I, gave that computer back and moved forward with my new computer, and the rest was history. So I left my corporate job, left the church job, and started doing that all of the time. And then along the way, a friend of mine that I had connected with, he and I had a conversation about running his YouTube channel. And he was like, "Would you do it for me?" And I was like, Sure. And so all of a sudden I was, basically a contracted YouTube content producer, and turned it into, a, pretty decent, like low six figures, company. And,
Are you still doing it?
and that's what I do now.
Okay.
I don't work with the Barnwood company anymore. But my clients that I primarily work with are custom home builders.
Okay.
They, and high-end remodeling.
Okay.
So like think, a custom home, and then the people want to make changes to the custom home. And so they bring in my other client to do that.
Okay. The pros.
And these, these guys are doing, millions and millions of dollars a year in revenue.
That's really cool.
And I just manage their YouTube channels.
That's really nice. That's a really good story. I was going to ask you, when you were going through all of these changes or getting these new jobs, did you ever felt ready
No.
for it? That's what I wanted to ask you. Okay.
Yeah.
Explain why.
Well, dude, I never feel ready.
None of us.
I'll relate it to, like, I had friends, and, my wife and I would have friends that would be like, when is the right time to have kids? Never the right time, because you're never going to feel like you're ready.
Never.
And I don't ever, so growing up, my friends and I, we were in bands, and every time I'd be driving to a gig,
Mm-hmm.
I'd be like, do I know how to play my instrument?
Wow.
Like,
Imposters.
do I know what I'm doing? Cause honestly, like that's the way it is. Like I always feel, like I'm not good enough.
I know, I've been there all the time.
Yeah.
And how do you overcome that?
I just have to do it.
Okay. Do you block it off? Like, no, it's not like that.
I don't even, I guess.
If you can explain it, right?
I don't even know if I can really like put words to it. I just think like we talked about it the other day, and this is kind of the way that I try to live my life. So my family got a chance to see Bob Gurr speak at Porter Barnwood. So my friend who owns the Barnwood company, while I was still, doing contract work with him, he had Bob Gurr come in. And for those who don't know, he was one of the original Imagineers, and he was, responsible for everything that had wheels inside of Disneyland and I believe Disney World. He actually created the monorail system. So that tram that takes you all around the park when you go to Disneyland, he was the one who invented that basically.
Impressive.
And you have to think about it. At the time, nobody had ever done anything like what Walt and his team was doing, turning. Well, really, he did everything that he did. Nobody had done before, but turning, your stories into a park where people would come.
It's just
it was
yeah.
like, it seems, legitimate now, but it sounded crazy
At that time.
Yeah. And so he was responsible for it. And one of the questions that was asked while we were there is they said, how did you guys know you could do what you were set out to do? And he said, we never thought we couldn't. And so for me, I constantly have to overcome that negative self-talk of I couldn't or I can't. I talk to my kids all the time about it, but like when my kids or even myself say I can't, then most certainly you can't.
Exactly.
But if you think that you can, then it switches. One of the things that for me, like when my wife and I were thinking about this trailer and talking through it, I had the idea because I basically wanted to create a limitless scenario where because if somebody comes to me and says, Jesse, I want to use your services, but I want you to come into my studio and do it, that's fine. If they want to use the trailer, that's cool too. This is just a tool to get the services known to other people. So if they don't use the trailer and I have to, pull the cameras out and set up tripods and I'll do it.
Okay.
I'll charge them more, but I'll do it.
Always. Yeah.
But the thing is that I just wanted a tool that could make people say yes. So what was happening is I was having conversations with businesses that wanted to start podcasts, conversations that want to do content, but then they go, well, where would I do it? Not every business wants to go on site where the construction is happening and talk about it.
Exactly.
And not everybody that I want to provide services to is a construction company.
Exactly.
And so I wanted to create a space that would get a yes. And so, but did I know how to do this? No.
Probably not.
No. Like every step was a hurdle. Like, okay, I found a trailer with an air conditioning unit in it. That step one, that was a win. I didn't even know there were trailers with air conditioning units built into it already. So like when I walked on the trailer lot, and saw it, I was like, and it was the only one on the lot. I was like, that's
It's
it
mine.
right there. It was expensive, but I think worth it.
I think in the long run, it's going to serve you well and it's going to make up the money.
Yeah, I certainly hope so. But here's the thing. This isn't an unbelievable amount of money that I can't recover. Like everybody has their risk tolerance, and my risk tolerance was about, let's say I invested about 30,000 into this. With the trailer, I already had all the cameras, but we'll factor those into the price too. But all in all, about 30. Okay. My original intent and idea was to get a Sprinter van and outfit the Sprinter van.
Okay.
And that was going to be about $250,000. My risk tolerance was not there.
Yeah.
Now, would Elon Musk bat an eye at 250,000? No. He would go, yeah, sure.
Could do it.
I could, honestly, I could probably call him and say, hey, let's start a podcast. I just need you to invest this much money into it. We'll put Starlink in it. We'll do all of this. You know what? Do you want to manufacture this van? And, I'm not into electric vehicles, but I know that if I were to pitch it the right way, that I could probably convince him to give me enough money to do it.
Okay.
But the thing is, I don't have his phone number. I could email him,
Yeah.
and I could try. Chances are that it wouldn't, but here's the thing. What if he said yes? And so to go back to your question, like I didn't know that I could do this, and I was never ready.
Okay.
And I'm still not ready, but we've built it. We have it. We've got this will, I think, be 18 podcasts or 17 or 18 podcasts.
Okay.
So I still don't think that there's enough at bats yet.
Okay.
But the thing is that every single one gets me closer to connecting with the right person.
Exactly.
And so if I don't have enough conversations, if I don't have, like I'm really doing myself a disservice when I'm not posting every day. That's,
yeah.
But as a content creator and producer, it's hard to constantly produce content, and especially with
your background and your knowledge, and you want the videos done a certain way, you have a high bar. So
well, and you know what, man, I've kind of come to a point where I have to stop caring.
That's happening to me right now. I'm like, okay,
like
I'm overdoing it. Just
yeah,
lower the bar.
and to like, if somebody comments and it's the comment that I think that they'll comment, it's a comment.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Negative comments also help fuel the fire, because other people will then be like, oh, here's a nut here, look at his nose, whatever. Like all of a sudden it's, he touches his nose a lot. It's just because I'm old and I have long hair growing out of my nose. It's unbelievable. The other day I went like this and I felt all of my nose hair, and then I lit up my nose hair because I'm blind. And I was like, I have nose hair that's blending in with my mustache. It was terrible. I had to trim that up.
Once I turned 40, nose hair, I'm like,
it's like I could braid it.
Ear hair.
Oh yeah. Yeah. No, I caught a glimpse of one and I had to pull it out the other day. It was terrible.
Yeah.
This getting old thing is rough.
I know. But there's also a good side about it. And I don't know about you, but when I turned 40, everything clicked for me. I'm like, now I know what I'm supposed to do. Cause I was always, that's my story, that, with ADHD and anxiety, I was always lost. I don't know what to do. I was always looking for my corner or my place to be, and I couldn't find it. And then just a few years back, which is why I created the Inside for Presence, cause I had a personal growth and professional growth. I'm not there yet. I don't think we achieve 100% personal growth. I think as you keep going, you keep learning and learning and learning. And at the end, my end goal is just each day to wake up and be a better dad, a better husband, better friend, better human. That's my goal. But nothing, going back to what I was saying is that, going through ADHD and anxiety and having a lot of doubts and getting to this point is just a way of us, being happy about what we have accomplished. And then I'm at that stage in my life that I'm super happy of what I learned and I want to help other people. That's why I created my YouTube channel. And I also want to, at the same time, like I explained to you, I want to talk to creative people. And I ask you that question about, did you ever feel ready? Because there's a lot of people that are going to see this and they're going to feel, I'm not ready to do this. I'm not ready to do that. And I want to inspire those people like you are right now that don't think about it. Just do it. If we want to learn how to swim, what do? We have to go into the water, right?
Yep.
So that's why I ask you that. And it's super interesting that you brought your story, because you have a lot of experience. You have a business.
Yeah.
But you felt like you were never ready. Right?
I still never feel, like I'm ready. And, one of the things that I related to, and maybe it's a silly correlation, but when we were babies learning how to walk, if we don't know this in our, because really we weren't coherent when we learned how to walk. But I think that's actually by design, because if we would have learned how to walk while we're in the stage that we're in of coherence, I don't know that we would have very many walking people.
Exactly.
Because every time a baby falls, they get back up and they try again.
Exactly.
And when you get back up and try again and you get a little bit better, it's like your lack of coherence in the scenario. Again, I didn't know we couldn't. Like Bob Gurr says, that lack of I can't in a baby's life, because the parents, when the baby falls, they're like, get back up, get back up. Yeah. You can do it, right? But that disappears as we age. Those synapses in our brain that tell us to get back up, they fall off. And that's by design. In our society, it's by design. See, like when I was in school, I always felt like I wasn't good enough, but I also felt like school was a waste of time. So I felt like I wasn't good enough to be there, but I also thought, why am I here?
Exactly.
And then, then I went to college, and that was a massive waste of time, especially my time at ASU. I would say the only time that it actually was beneficial to me was when I went to University of Phoenix, because at the time I was working for University of Phoenix. And so it was free for me to get my degree, which was great. But really, has my degree benefited me? No, absolutely not.
For me neither.
Yeah.
I think.
And so I have a bachelor's and half of my master's completed, and none of it has served me well. So if we in our duration of life ever thought that, like, when we were learning how to walk, that I just can't do it, how many people would we have in this world actually not walking? We also already have enough. We have an epidemic of obesity, but that's a whole nother scenario. Yeah. But the thing is that the baby never thinks that they can't. They just get up and do it again. Exactly. And so we should take that as, a lesson from an infant, that we can stumble and fall. There's I call them speed bumps along the way of everything that you do, but it's how you learn how to pivot. It's like when we were loading up the trailer today, I noticed some things that have shifted because of the heat. And it's like, oh, okay. Note, I'm going to have to fix that. I need to figure out how to, re-adhere some things to the walls so that things sound decent enough. And also, to mention, I need to show up earlier so that the AC cools the space down even more, because now this is the first podcast that we're doing in over 100 degrees.
But I gotta tell you, the AC is working because it was super hot in here.
It was when we got
it's
here.
Really good. It's been here how many? Like 20 minutes to 30 minutes?
We've, it cools the space.
Yeah.
But it did have a lot of heat in here when we got in. Yeah. So, there's a lot of things, but we have to understand that those speed bumps help us learn.
Part of it.
I don't think that we would learn well enough if everything was just simple all the time.
No, we don't. We always have to learn the hard way. And it's okay. I think people stress enough failure instead of what happens? What if it happens? What if it goes through? What if I'm successful? If we can change that mindset from failure to that, a lot of amazing things could happen. I wanted to talk to you about, have you ever heard of Rick Rubin?
Rick Rubin? Like the musician?
Yeah.
The producer?
The producer.
Yeah.
Have you read his book?
I have not.
You have to read his book. It's really good. I'll send that over to you once we finish the interview, because he has a super interesting point of view, and I want you to read the book. Nothing. So I wanted to ask you, being a businessman, having also this trailer and doing your podcast, having 5 kids?
4.
Right? 4, sorry.
Don't be sorry. 4 or 5, it's all the same.
Having a full family.
Yeah.
How do you balance it all?
So I am first a husband and a father.
Always.
And there are a lot of business people that would say that opposite. I own a business, and that business runs, and it's my wife's responsibility to do everything else. It is not my wife's responsibility to do everything else. She does a lot, far more than I do at home, but I really try to be available. That's one of the main reasons why I wanted to own my own company and do contract work and, kind of ended up where I'm at, is I didn't want to go and punch a clock. I don't like knowing that, like when I worked at GoDaddy, from 6:30 to 2:30 every day, I had to be away, and there was no room for a pivot. It was like, nope, just 6:30 to 2:30. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, when I worked there, I showed up 5 minutes late one time, and my boss pulled me in to the office and said, "Hey, do I need to change your hours to start an hour later?" And I was like, "What are you talking about?"
Just one time.
I was like 5 minutes late once. And he was like, "No, is this going to be a habit? Because if it is, then we're just going to move your schedule back an hour." And I was like, "I can't do an hour later. That puts me at home an hour later.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not doing that." Mm-hmm. And he goes, "Okay, so we have an understanding then." And I was like, "I guess so. I guess I'm going to be early every day." And so it was like, all of a sudden, this stress of, I have to be awake at, whatever time. I have to leave the house at this time, or else I'm going to be late, and I can't afford to be late. And so, Eli, can you lock the truck? Thank you. My brain all of a sudden was like, saw a person walk by, and I was like, did I lock my truck?
You're good.
By the way, truck is attached to the trailer. So
I just had a vision of us moving.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Sorry. Didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, you're fine because I interrupted myself. But yeah, for me, I am, this morning, here's an example. All this week, my oldest daughter is interning at her theater group. She's a director intern this week and a music director intern in a couple weeks. Next week, they're doing VBS. So my daughter and all of 4 of my kids will be at VBS next week, but 2 of them will be on stage playing. And so all this week, I've taken my daughter to her internship. And, so I can't start work prior to, dropping her off.
Uh-huh.
So it just waits. And because first I'm a dad, I'm a husband. I took I took 3 of my kids, to their things this morning. I had to drop off my 2 younger at their acrobatics, intensive.
That's a lot.
And then, my oldest daughter at her, internship. And then my son and I, we went and worked out, and then we came this way, and all in, waiting for a toilet to be delivered. That's not even my own.
Wow.
That's a toilet for a brand deal.
Yeah. And I want to mention that because he basically was waiting for a toilet for a brand deal. At the same time, he did all of that. And I'm like, dude, because he was stressing with me. He's like, hey, I'll let you know. I'm like, no rush, man. I know you're a busy man. If we can do it, we can leave it for next Friday. Yet he still sent me a text. He met with me here. So that's commitment. So I want to commend you for that because you're super responsible and you had a commitment with me and you're here. And even though you had a lot of things to do.
And that we all have lots of things. So like, I'm not anything special. I just don't sit down well. And maybe, you've mentioned ADHD. I often joke that I have ADLD, which is attention deficit lazy disorder. Because I always joke that I'm lazy. I don't know that I am, but I also don't know if I have the H. And I don't like labels.
You told me that, yeah.
Labels, to me, limit me. Where I think maybe for you, the label helps you identify and move forward, whereas the label limits me.
Okay.
Like the reason why I don't drink alcohol is because I would be an alcoholic.
Okay.
And that label limits me.
Okay.
I would crush it at being an alcoholic. I'd be like the best alcoholic ever if I allowed myself to drink.
Okay.
My son can attest to my affection of coffee.
Okay. That's your thing.
That's
your go-to.
That's what I do. And when I do something, I like go really, really deep. So like, I know that it may not look like it right now, but like I've put on about 20 pounds, in the last, I would say 6 to 8 months. And, mainly because I had a bodybuilding coach, for a long time. And, he helped me get really, really lean. And then he said, all right, now you need to bulk up. And so I stopped paying him and I bulked up.
Okay. I did the same. I've been doing it for the last year and I'm super lazy for doing exercises. I mainly do it for, channeling my stress and being overwhelmed. And it does help me so much. I also mix it with breathing exercises. And I think both of those help me a lot.
Like Wim Hof and stuff like that.
Yeah. They help me stay grounded and not lose control of myself. Because when you have a full time, you have a family, you have a podcast, you're talking to people. Well, right now we were since like Monday texting and talking to each other. There's a lot of things going on and you have to take care of yourself. People don't realize that if you want to achieve like, personal growth or anything you want to achieve in life, you have to first work inside so you can get the exterior things.
Yep.
So I always am talking about that because I think that's really important. And you have, while explaining all of the things that you've gone through, you have touched in a few of those topics. And I feel like that's why I say you and me have a few things in common, because we have put in the work on working in ourselves. When we do that, we're better husbands, better dads, better employees, business owners.
Yeah.
And then, so you said you went to the gym. What other things do you do to keep yourself in check? Not only in the mind, but in the body.
Well, especially now in the summer, I get to the gym 5 days a week.
Okay.
And that's kind of my time. And that's like usually how I start my day. Since this week, I've had to wake up between 5:30 and 6 every day, which I'm not usually a like super early riser. It's usually like 6:37. So it's pushing it a little bit. But maybe it's the old man in me that's like, oh, maybe I need to wake up at 5:30 every day. Because I really like, I woke up at, about 5:36 today, and I had time to like get everything ready, get everybody ready, and kind of take time for myself. Another thing that I do is I often will have the Bible playing, because I don't read well, but I listen to the Bible almost every day.
Okay.
That's another thing that I
Keeps
do.
you grounding.
Okay. But like, I've also read lots of like motivational and I guess somewhat self-help books. Gary V.
I follow Gary. I love Gary V.
If you're familiar with him, he, not that he's necessarily a motivational speaker, but a lot of what he talks about, I can relate with. And I think a lot of people can.
For him, I think it's that he's always pointing out empathy, kindness to others. And I love that about him. And he's just, if you can do it, he talks with bad words and like, no, you can do it. And I love that about him. He's just unique. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, you talk as much as you want to. Don't let me dominate this. If there's something you want to say, bring it. But for me, like, I try to listen to a lot of books. I'm trying to think of like, I don't necessarily follow or like Alex Hermosi, but I have one of his books in my truck. I download a lot of books on a library app, with, connected to the Phoenix Library, and they have like audiobooks that you can listen to.
That's cool.
And that makes life a lot easier. And because I drive a lot, there's quite a bit of time in the truck
to hear
listening to podcasts, listening to people. I listen to, I don't know if you've heard of blanking on his name right now, Omar El Takori.
I think I know who he is. Yeah.
Do you know Think Media?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So I did the VRA, Video Ranking Academy.
Okay.
All last year. And through Think Media, I learned about Omar, and Omar broke off into his own coaching program. And I haven't taken any of his, classes or anything like that, or any of his coaching, but he does coaching. And I listen to him a lot because he always has on his podcast, he has like, well-to-do speakers and coaches and stuff that I find interesting. So yeah, it's just like a constant, like, I don't know.
You're feeding. That's what I do.
Yeah. And I'm like, and it's like kind of the shiny object syndrome too. Like I'm always like, oh, what? I guess here's a little bit of ADHD for you. We went to the USS Midway when we were in San Diego a few weeks ago. And maybe I'll put the video up on the thing, but I went to the bathroom, and in the bathroom at the USS Midway, they had these urinals, and the urinals have these, every urinal has a little urinal cake in it. That's what it's called. It's called a cake, which is a terrible word for it. But the urinal cake had a soccer goal with a dangling soccer ball.
What?
And so when you pee, you hit the ball and you're making a goal. And I thought this was the most genius thing ever.
Who thought about that?
And I was like, I have to know where to get these. And so I found them, I sourced them, and I bought 6.
Okay.
And so I bought 6 for a little more than $17. And I went to ChatGPT and I said, tell me the number 1 soccer bars in Phoenix, because the World Cup is coming. And us Americans, we know nothing about soccer. We pay no attention to the biggest sport in all of the world. But it came back with a number of soccer bars, but one that was really close to my house called Georgian Dragon. And I was like, sweet, that's right by the house. I'm going to go there.
Okay.
I'm going to take my 6 urinal cakes and I'm going to go and I'm going to see if they have them at the bar. Cause I don't go to bars. I went to bars a lot as a kid. That's a whole nother story, but, basically grew up in bars. But I, as an adult, haven't been to any bars. And so I said, I'm going to go, I'll walk into the bathroom, see if they have them. And if they don't, I'm going to talk to the people. So I walk out or I see that they don't have them. And I go to the bar and I said, hey, could I talk to a manager? And the girl was like, oh, here's the owner. And I was like, sweet, cool. Even better. That's who I wanted to see. And I said, I have a really funny thing that I want to show you. It's a complete novelty item, but I think it would be hilarious and perfect for the World Cup that's coming up. Cause I'm sure you guys are going to have a lot of patrons. And here he goes, yeah, I'm actually going to be on channel 12 tomorrow talking about our startup party and all this. I don't know what the language is. And I said, well, can I show you something on my phone? And he was like, yeah. And so I showed him because I took a video of the urinal cakes and he saw it and he was like, this is perfect. And he's like, okay. I said, how many urinals do you have? He said, I have 3 urinals in the restaurant. I said, okay, I have 6 urinal cakes available. You could buy 3, but it'll be more, but I'll sell you 6 for $100. And he goes, perfect. I'll buy all 6. And so I took that $17 investment and turned it into $100. Now, this isn't a big, $17 into $100 percentage wise is huge. You factor in my effort and gas and all that stuff, it's minimal. But the fact that I turned 17 into 100 is just the joy of I knew I could do it.
It's clever. It's clever.
So I took that $100 and I bought 5 more packages. So now I have 30 urinal cakes. I haven't sold any more, but yesterday I went into another pub here in Chandler. That's a soccer pub. And I talked to the manager there. She thought it was hilarious. And I said, how many would you like to buy? And she goes, text me your information. I want to buy closer to the World Cup.
Okay.
Our first party of the World Cup is on the 10th. I don't want to bring them in any sooner than that because I don't want them to disappear. So I'll let you know how many I want to buy. Now, could it be possible that she goes out and finds them through her supplier for cheaper? And I should have just said, well, what makes you say yes right now? Like, what's the price that would make you say yes to 2 packages? Do I do 2 packages for $100 for you?
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, should I have pushed a little bit more? Maybe so. But either way, she's likely not going to go seek out where to get them because she doesn't want to put in the effort. She already knows who.
Exactly. She has the connection.
You know,
she can pay you.
she doesn't have enough money. She has my phone number. We've texted. You know, I sent her the video. She just needs to say yes. But the thing is that it's purely just a shiny object. I you know, like, I was like, I see it. I want to do it. Am I going to become a urinal cake salesman? I sure hope not. But it's just proof. It's really kind of just to show my kids, like, you could take a silly idea and turn it into anything. So
it's powerful. It's powerful. When you first started it was your mindset, I just want to try it, see what happens, or make a few extra bucks?
with the urinal cakes?
Yeah.
I just wanted to do it.
Okay.
I like $100 is a lot of money, but it's not going to change my life.
Of course.
Even $10,000. $10,000 is a lot of money, but it doesn't.
Is it life changing?
It's not life changing.
Mm-hmm.
It's momentary changing, right? Like there's
the moment, yeah.
There's a moment of time where that $10,000 will feel like a lot of money. What is life changing is when you start realizing that if you attempt to, because if you turn $300 a day is essentially a $10,000 month.
Mm-hmm.
Just $300.
Mm-hmm.
Now, keep in mind, that would be $300 every single day of the month. So if you want days off, then you have to factor in and increase that daily number. But ultimately, $300 a day is an achievable thing for almost everybody. Like you could do a service, any kind of service, and earn $300 a day,
mm-hmm.
and be rolling in $10K a month if you were nonstop.
Exactly.
You know, if you look at it, a friend of mine owns a tree trimming business, and his goal for his company was to bill $5,000 a day, 5 days a week. So if you do that, you know, if you have enough work, it actually, you can make life-changing money.
I think
so,
especially that business, because trimming trees is super expensive.
Super expensive.
Yes.
So like a lot of people, they don't think that they are capable. And a lot of people are afraid of what other people will think.
Okay. You know, I went through that, and I think I'm at that point of life that I'm like, screw it. I don't really care anymore.
Well, I think that there's a reason why, most millionaires, don't become millionaires until their late 40s, early 50s. Because I think what happens is in your 40s, you reach the don't care portion of life. And then that don't care portion of life propels you into the position where you're no longer caring about anything that anybody says. And then that positions you to
mm-hmm.
be able to go,
mm-hmm.
hey, here, I can turn this business, this don't care business, into, like, I want to own a porta potty company. I have unbelievable ideas for a porta potty company. I just don't know how to do it yet.
Okay.
And a lot of people would be like, gross. You want to own a porta potty
No,
company?
but I heard in the internet that basically it can be super. You can get a lot of money out of a porta potty.
Yeah. I don't want to do the work. I just want to own the company.
Exactly.
So I'll employ people. There are trucks, the trucks that go and clean them out. You just subcontract the truck. You find the units, you subcontract the truck to deliver it and clean it, and you pay them, a monthly retainer probably, and you just own the units.
Exactly. Yeah.
So that toilet that I had delivered today, it's for a brand deal with one of my clients, and I was talking to the truck driver because the semi pulled into my neighborhood, and he was telling me he makes like $15 each delivery. And I'm like, dude, it's almost no money. He goes, yeah, especially since you have to factor in my gas and my time and all of this stuff. Like I may walk with $1,000 a month in earned income. He goes, I own that truck, but I don't own the trailer. So theoretically, he could do, he could, pull stuff and deliver stuff for any company, but he makes such little money. But the thing is that he doesn't care because he has bought and sold his companies. He's basically just doing this to ride out until his wife retires.
Okay.
So he doesn't want to sit at home.
Okay.
So he doesn't care about how much, because he's already made his money. He's just doing this for the fact that he just wants to do something. But that right there, like that shows you like there's a lot of ways to make a lot of money, and it doesn't even have to be $1 million.
Exactly. You just have to look for it.
Yeah.
It's there.
It's there.
And I was going to ask you, with the mobile podcast trailer, I know you're trying. I guess my question, are we good in time?
I don't know what time it is. It's 1:23. We should wrap soon.
Okay. So with the mobile podcast trailer, I know you explained to me that you want to rent this to people who want to do podcasts, but at the same time, I see you doing content on it. Is that idea going to grow more of you doing content? Like, do you have something in mind aside from like, selling the idea of the mobile podcast trailer?
I think it's just reps. I need to do it so many times for it to be like proof of concept.
Okay.
Because this is the minimum, this is the MVP, minimum valuable product, for the trailer. This is just the start. This is where, eventually I'll need to change the camera setups because, I'll need to get more weather proof cameras, running, Canons and stuff. They could degrade over time. Need to get something that's a little bit more durable. But really, like, it just like I have the trailer, so like I might as well create my own content. Do I think that it could become its own revenue engine? Maybe. But I also limit myself in my ideas, because I always turn it to other people. I always think, oh, I know how to do it for somebody else. My clients, I go, hey, I know how to make, construction content for your YouTube channel. And it's like, I don't know how to laser beam focus where I want my content to be. And so I know the issue with YouTube is once you identify your category, stay in your lane.
You're going on that.
And I just constantly am like bobbing and weaving, because I have interests that constantly are moving.
Cool. So I know we have to wrap up. I wanted to basically say thank you for the time, for having me here. It's been a joy meeting you, because I think we have a lot of things in common. Like I said before, And nothing. Let's see what happens from here.
Yeah.
I met a friend. I have a new friend, so I'm excited. And also, you have a friend here. Whatever you
Yes.
need, let me know. I told
Absolutely.
you, my knowledge is your knowledge. I don't keep anything. I love helping people. That's just me. And you have a friend here.
Well, one of the things that I like to do in Mobile Podcast Trailer is let you know that you're living a miracle life. I think a lot of us often think that we don't amount to much.
Mm-hmm.
And just being born and making it as far as you have,
Exactly.
staying committed to your wife and your kids, you are living a miracle life. You are a miracle, and you need not forget that. This is a big deal. A lot of guys don't realize how much of a miracle they are. And you don't have to be a husband or a father to be a miracle, but just knowing that, God created you to do what you're doing and just push through every challenge. Because there's no obstacle that will wipe you out if you don't let it.
Exactly.
So thanks for hanging out with us.
Of course. My pleasure. Totally my pleasure.
And if you guys, we'll put all of both of our handles and everything like that
I'll
on
do
social
the same
media.
on my side. Yeah.
Yeah. This will be shared between the two of us. And yeah, do you want to do an intro real quick before we go?
Yeah, I can do it.
Oh, hey, thanks for hanging out with us.